take it. And the cup is more than half full now. If you love him, you live it right. So give her your love and the cup will full. Your sky could never gray. Doubt can wipe a smile away. Sun, it shines up above. From out the darkness comes your love. Into the world it brings some light.
Not all big corporations are bad, so let's not paint them all with the same brush. There are big corporations who are working really hard for a cure, whether it's trying to come up with the newest drug or donating money to the cause. So it's actually up to us as consumers to identify who's working for our good and then to support them. And if they're not working for your good, well, let's take our business elsewhere. That's the power that we have as consumers. For example, David Bloom, who is the ex-CEO of Shoppers Drug Mart up here in Canada, which is a really large pharmaceutical chain, is a multiple myeloma survivor, and he's very dedicated towards finding a cure. And so dedicated, in fact, that he set up the first research chair in Canada at Princess Margaret Hospital for multiple myeloma.
I am a breast cancer survivor, a blood cancer survivor.
I'm Dr. Holly Lucille, a naturopathic doctor.
I am a mom of a teenager, a basset hound owner, a military wife.
My name is Dr. Deanna Atai, and I'm a breast surgeon.
I am a cancer survivor who is looking for answers just like you.
I'm Deborah Tripathi. I'm a medical oncologist.
What works, what doesn't? Welcome to Thrive with Namrata. We're back to another episode of Thrive with Namrata. And today's topic is just so important because my friend Lisa Ray brings up something that is, I think, comes up in the life of every cancer survivor. When you have been there, you want to give back. And Anderson Cooper just did a huge thing on charities, cancer charities in particular. So how do you, as a cancer survivor or the family of someone who wants to give back, is it important for you to know where your dollars are going? Where are these dollars going? Who are these charities? Can anyone set up a 501c3, but who should you really be supporting? And I'm really curious to know what my panel of doctors thinks about these charities. And if there is, I'll start with you, Debu, if there is any merit to just writing a check for $10 when something saying cancer or showing pink, for that matter, or yellow or purple, shows up at your doorstep.
There are many ways that money can be spent in charities. Some spend it efficiently, others don't. There are ways to find out how much a charity spends on administration versus their core mission, and this information does need to be made public. But in this era of internet, as well as very large institutions, the budgets are small and large. Some of the small ones that maybe raise their money through crowdsourcing on the internet may do a wonderful job. So you have to look at what their mission is and see if it resonates with you. You want to give to something you believe in, but also do your homework and see how it's spent.
Right, and which actually brings me to charitynavigator.com. Great website on the internet. You can go take a look at what CEOs of some of these charities make, and I don't know, I'll let you figure out what you think about that. But what do you think, Holly?
I think that it's such a vulnerable place to have a cancer diagnosis and be bombarded with all the decisions that you have to make. And so not only in treatment, slowing down, making sure that you're well informed, that you feel confident about your choices, because you've got family members coming at you, you've got second opinions, other doctors and such. I think it's the same thing with giving. I think that we need to start saving the seducible from the seductive. And I think people that, I hate that we're having this conversation, but people that, you know, it becomes like the pink washing, you know, where Kentucky Fried Chicken is all of a sudden we have to think about, like, is that where you really want to be spending your money? Because fried food, we know that we've been talking about food a lot, is probably just counterintuitive to the whole cause. And so slowing down, staying with your heart, making sure that you feel that attachment, I think is really important.
I'm glad you brought up the topic of pink washing, because that's something that really people haven't quite understood. Just because there's a pink label on a product And in October, you can't go into any store. It's almost like another holiday, unfortunately. It's Breast Cancer Month.
It's like we only have breasts in October.
Right.
That's right.
But,
It's all about the boobs.
but just because there's a pink label on something doesn't mean that any money is even going to support a breast cancer charity or organization or a research effort. So it's think before you pink. Call the company, find out where the money is going.
A new campaign.
But don't necessarily think that just because you're buying a pink kitchen appliance that any money is going towards breast cancer patients or research. There are so many ways to help patients with breast cancer in your own community. Look down your street. If your neighbor is going through treatment, offer to babysit her kids or bring over some meals or things like that. You can do small things in your own community that will do a world of good, more than any purchase of a pink labeled product.
Those are such great points. And also, I think one of the things that I want to bring up here is we often hear from people that, some of the more alternative methods, Holly, for example, for treating cancer, whether there's any merit behind their efficacy or not, we don't know, but there's just not enough studies done. So we just don't know because we haven't had studies. So my point is, pharmaceutical companies, I get it. I mean, they're a company, they have shareholders. If something's not going to work for them, I have an entertainment company. I'm not going to necessarily go out and construct a house because it's not part of my business. It's not what I do. So if pharmaceutical companies are not going to fund the trials for some of these alternative and complementary treatments, my question is, where are the charities? Why aren't they doing it?
Well, charities should support this type of work because you're right, there isn't money from the private source, the private sector, to do these studies, and they are tremendously important. We do know that some alternative, or some people now use the word complementary or integrative when they're coordinated with standard care, are clearly effective. We know, for example, that yoga and mindfulness helps with quality of life and attentiveness and fatigue. We know that acupuncture helps with pain. Now, we haven't got to the point where these modalities are clearly proven to extend the quantity of life, but that's because we haven't done the studies. So the government also has a role in trying to help fund this type of work. The government does put a very small amount of funds into this through the Office of Complementary and Alternative Medicine, and then the National Cancer Institute also has a cancer complementary medicine office. But it's a very small amount, and I think this is a critical area for us to invest more resources to improve both the quality and quantity of life.
And I know all the naturopathic colleges, where you can find them by going to aanmc.org, all have their own branch of research that are done at those universities, at those institutions.
So what you're saying is they actually have studies that they're doing to prove or disprove some
Sure.
of this stuff.
Oh, those studies are on the rise. There's another website, greenmedinfo.com. They are indexing evidence-based medicine for herbs are sprouting up all over the place. Yes.
That's great. That's so good to know. And also, I think one of the things that we just need to be sort of mindful of, and I just want to share with you, I'm sure you guys already know this, but it looks like the government is coming around too, because, I remember about 3 years ago, I was talking to the folks at the Complementary Office of National Cancer Institute, and they were looking to do something with Globe Entertainment, my company, to help them raise funds to set up some of those trials. And I just thought to myself, why would the National Cancer Institute come to me? And which just goes to show how those funds were being dispersed, so to speak. And now I was very pleased to see the other day, just one of them actually, that the National Cancer Institute or National Institute of Health actually gave a $2 million grant to the University of Arizona to fund a study on sodium bicarbonate and breast cancer. So I think we're sort of getting there, but I think it's to make the funding sources more aware that let's go out and do these studies. If they work, great. If they don't, that's fine. But can we please find out?
Right. Well, we got to take away the turf war. It can't be a we-they thing. This is a service industry, right? And we got to keep focusing on the patient and outcomes, and not get all tripped up in the turf war of pharmaceuticals versus more complementary, alternative, integrative therapies. What's best practice? What's best outcome? Let's have that benevolent look when we're thinking about these things. It doesn't always work though when money's involved.
Well, we do need to work together. The Society of Integrative Oncology now has been around for about 10 years, and it is truly amalgamation of oncologists as well as naturopathic physicians and people of different disciplines, not just MDs, trying to come together to develop research priorities. And it is on the rise. I think we will get more and more information about things that are helpful in the integrative and complementary realm.
So what I'm taking away from this is that when I decide to write that check, I've actually started asking the charity, where is this money going to go? And not just, and when they say it's going to go to research, I want to know what research. And if they're not able to answer that question, I very politely decline, because I want to know where my dollars are going, and so should you. We will catch you next time. Thank you so much for thriving with Namrata.